welcome. Here it is, the end of January. The fog is lifted.
Oh my God.
Just for us, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice driving in? I mean, it was really thick up on Walton Heights. So, yeah, but you came to the light. So here we are. And we're so glad that you're joining us again. And it's good to see everybody here. And I know the way Unitics are, there's gonna be more showing up. So, I'm gonna begin. I like to start with the movement, and y'all can do it or just watch me. But today is gonna be a lot about connections. That's our mantra for this year. I am connected. And I love to connect to different energies. So we connect to the earth. I connect to myself. I connect to this community. I connect to my teachers. I connect to unity worldwide. And I connect to all that is. Oh, it's so good to have you here. Thank you. And as we connect, let us say our opening statement together. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. Oh my goodness, welcome. So good to see you all. Come join. Oh, this is fun to see all the people come in. Abundance, perfect daily word. I broaden my perception of abundance. It means so many different things, doesn't it? And today my understanding of prosperity broadens. I feel safe and secure in my humanity and my divinity, because we are fully human and fully divine. Knowing I'm fully human and fully divine, that's priceless. Both the natural world and the divine demonstrate infinite potential. Each demonstrates the principle of abundance. I am reminded that the divine is present in its entirety, at every point in space, all the time, everywhere, all at once. I love that movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. The more I appreciate the resources of the material world, the more I am aware that my greatest resource is established in this principle of abundance. Well, I'm going to work that in today too, with I am connected, because it all goes together. And in unity, we have what's so wonderful, affirmative prayer. And we use the 5 movements. I use the spiral because I believe we start at our center, at our heart, and we begin to expand. God is, I am, I know and I can, and I appreciate. So let us have a moment of prayer. As we settle in on this beautiful morning, the sun's coming out. Let's relax a little as we breathe, perhaps a little more deeply. As I relax, I feel my heart center open and my distracting thoughts just drop away as I receive a quiet peace. I breathe in the expanding, glorious awareness of the Christ in me. I open my body, mind, and spirit to the sensations, the ideas, the awareness of the Christ in all realms, body, mind, and spirit. God is life, love, and wisdom. I am the power of divine life to create change for the betterment of all creation. I receive this precious gift of life. I'm energized to thrive as life, as love, and as wisdom. To thrive as life and love and wisdom. I pray that I become an instrument for the power of divine life and for the greater good of all. I now realize divine abundance. The good of God cannot be withheld. It pours over every detail of my life. Every need of mine is met with plenty of possibilities, plenty of resources, plenty to love and celebrate. I am connected. Feel the energy connections within. Feel the connections through your hands to the space around you. Expand your connections. Imagine yourself as a star connected in the universe and all that is. I am grateful for my connection to this beautiful earth. The earth is not just the environment I live in. I am the earth, and I'm always carrying her within me. I am grateful for my inner life and wisdom, and I am mindful of my outer expression. I am grateful for our Unity community and all the possibilities of expanding these community connections. I appreciate all my teachers and Unity teachings. So grateful to share with you all this morning in our sweet little intimate Sunday salon. May this prayer unleash our spiritual potential so we support those with whom we pray and everyone awakening to divine nature. We are blessed. We are a blessing. And so it is. Now this morning, I have a song.
I wonder if the sun debates dawn some mornings, not wanting to rise out of bed from under the down feather horizon. If the sky grows tired of being everywhere at once, adapting to the mood swings of the weather. If clouds drift off, trying to hold themselves together, make deals with gravity to loiter a little longer. I wonder if rain is scared of falling, if she has trouble letting go, if snowflakes get sick of being perfect all the time, each one trying to be one of a kind. I wonder if stars wish upon themselves before they die, if they need to teach their young how to shine. I wonder if shadows long to just for once feel the sun, if they get lost in the shuffle not knowing where they're from. I wonder if sunrise and sunset respect each other even though they've never met, if storms have regrets, if volcanoes get stressed, if compost believes in life after death. I wonder if breath ever thinks of suicide, if the wind just wants to sit still sometimes and watch the world pass him by, if smoke was born knowing how to rise, if rainbows get shy backstage, not sure if their colors match right. I wonder if lightning needs an alarm clock to know when to crack, if rivers ever stop and think of turning back, if streams meet the wrong sea and their whole lives run off track. I wonder if the snow wants to be black, if the soil thinks she's too dark, if butterflies want to cover up their marks, if rocks are self-conscious of their weight, if mountains are insecure of their strength, I wonder if waves get discouraged, crawling up the sand, only to be pulled back again to where they began, if land feels stepped upon, if sand feels insignificant, if trees need to question their lovers to know where they stand, if branches waver at the crossroads unsure of which way to grow, if leaves understand they're replaceable and they still dance when the wind blows. I wonder where the moon goes when she is in hiding. I want to find her there and watch the ocean spin from a distance, listen to her stir in her sleep. Effort give way to existence.
So, did that make you smile? Well, we are, as I said, we are fully human and fully divine. And I like to embrace my humanity, but don't we get carried away sometimes? Did you notice all that about shyness and fear and wondering if the colors match? You know, that is just so human. But nature doesn't really see it that way, right? So we're going to look at that today, about connections, and that's sort of connecting us to nature. And as we end January, this, as I said, this was our mantra, and I'm going to use that opening sequence, my movement sequence, to organize the talk today. And so today's got a little bit of everything, and some parts of it I'm going to emphasize more than others. But as I was looking at that song, at the poem rather, you know, we worry about so much. We make life hard sometimes. And I love this Bible verse, one of my favorites. Look at the birds of the air, for they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? You know, when we worry, let's think about it. Nature just takes care of itself. The rainbow knows how to be. It doesn't worry about that. The rain knows how to fall. The snowflake just is. If only we would just be. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But we know it's not. And as I said, I'm going to use these movements to organize things. So we're going to look at the earth, ourselves, the community, teachers, a little bit of everything. And I hope you get some insights into this. We know that there's infinite possibilities with connections. We know that. Well, I'm going to start with the earth. And so here's a woman in the forest. Could be the Muir Woods. This is what inspired me. When I visited the Muir Woods with my son this fall, we watched documentaries about mushrooms. No, not just the he wanted to show me about the psychedelic kind too. But we looked at the mycelium. That was what was so interesting. Because you know what? Beneath the forest floor is an incredible network called the mycelium. It's like a root-like structure of a fungus consisting of a mass of branching and thread-like network. It infuses all the landscapes. It holds soil together. It's extremely tenacious. It holds up to 30,000 times its mass. It's under everything we step on, really, especially in nature, not so much in our houses. And we have now discovered that there is a multi-directional transfer of nutrients between plants mitigated by this mycelium. So the mycelium is the mother that is giving nutrients from alder and birch trees to hemlocks, cedars, and Douglas firs. It's so important. It is. I mean, that looks like the stars. And I love that so above, as above, so below. These networks are everywhere. So they've taken pictures of these networks and noticed that as the mycelium grows, it conquers territories and then it begins to make this net. It's really like a neurological membrane. You know, this mycelium is a sentient being. It breathes, it transmits, it's alive. And inside this network, these microbial communities begin to form. And so the spongy soil not only resists erosion, but sets up a microbial universe that gives rise to a plurality of other organisms. Now, one of the men that really study this is named Paul Stamets, and he's given TED Talks. You can look this up. I had a fun time yesterday finding all this material. He first proposed in the early 1990s that mycelium is Earth's natural internet. When you look at the mycelium, they're highly branched, and if there's one branch that is broken, then very quickly, because of the nodes of crossing, there are alternative pathways for channeling nutrients and information. It's self-healing. The mycelium, as I said, is sentient. It knows that you are there. When you walk across a landscape, it leaps up in the aftermath of your footsteps, trying to grab debris, because it's responsible for that, breaking down and building back up. Can you imagine as I walk? Because I remember walking on the pathways in the Muir Woods. And of course, so we wouldn't disturb the mycelium, there were, wooden plank pathways. And we were not supposed to get off the path to protect the forest. So Paul believes that the invention of the computer internet was an inevitable consequence of a previously proven biologically successful model. The Earth invented the computer internet for its own benefit, and we now, being the top organism on this planet, are trying to allocate resources in order to protect the biosphere. So, now it just doesn't, here's another picture of it. It's everywhere. It covers the earth. Doesn't this just strike you with awe and wonder? The universe is one substance, whole and connected and divine, and we're in it. So let's think about the awe and the wonder. Let's think about the order of our own bodies. Think of all the networks within our bodies, the neural networks, the blood network. Everything is connected and works together. It's really amazing. The power of order has just always fascinated me, because there's order in the universe up there. There's order in the most minute microorganism. It's just amazing. Okay, now that's the earth, and it's amazing. And with our own bodies, we have these connections. And then we have our realms of body, mind, spirit, and emotions. And when we get connected there, and the more we pay attention to these connections and become aware of them, the more we increase our own well-being. And speaking of well-being, I want to say that I'm so very grateful to Beverly for starting Wednesday Wellness. Now, help me out, because Pam and Angel come pretty regularly, but I want y'all to hear the list of what we've been doing on Wednesdays. Well, we started mainly with the sound healing meditations. We've had chakra clearing techniques, energy medicine, that was so much fun, gratitude practices, Nia dance, Ho'oponopono forgiveness practice. And we're going to be adding some yoga. It's going to be so much fun. It's not like a regular yoga.
Right.
You'll really enjoy it. And we're open to so much more. It's really quite exciting. You know, at Unity we say we work from the inside out. These healing practices are contributing so much to that work. Now, there are many topics that I could talk about with the self, but let me move on to community. And whoops, I'm actually going to stick with Wednesday Wellness there. You guys, last Wednesday night, we had 18 people in this room, and it was filled to capacity. It really was. It was so exciting. And we did the chakra clearing, and what I really loved, Lorraine, there were young people here. And I mean, isn't it about time we bring, and I'm just so glad to see you all today. That I really believe that we have started something. There's an energy building, and it's coming in on Wednesdays, and it's coming in on Sunday mornings, and then we've got more to come. Who knows? We might be back in that sanctuary, because I'm telling you, if there's 20 people in here, it's crowded, and we're just going to have to start thinking about going back into the big room. But you know, we're also starting spiritually, so we're going to do sign up today, and you're going to hear a couple of ideas that I hope spark your imagination, because this is definitely about connections. And these groups are going to meet outside the church in homes. And this is a way of taking unity out. Unity should not be this well-kept secret that it is. And but we're doing this in a way. It's not just a way to talk the unity message. It's simply a way to make connections. For us to, there's that fifth principle in unity. We don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. And when we get out in these groups and just be who we are, we don't have to give a big lesson or lecture on unity, but if we just be who we are and have the intention of making connections, and people are going to start saying, oh, I want what they have, you know, it'll be very interesting. Now, as we form communities, well, communities, you know, they start with forming, but then there can be some storming before there's actually a norming. And that's because the deal is, you guys, we're all human, and we've got personalities. You know, as the poem said, we've got these extra human things that we deal with. So, I've been wanting to deal with this since the beginning of January. I want to show you a clip from one of my very favorite movies. And it's a movie I watch every year. It's called Meet John Doe. It was made in 1941, directed by Frank Capra, and it stars Gary Cooper and Barbara Stanwyck. I am an old movie nut. But you know what? This is a movie that has truth in it. That's why it's a classic. It's going to be kind of fun. So, here's the movie. Now, Barbara Stanwyck plays a newspaper reporter, and she gets fired at the beginning of the movie, but she makes herself worthwhile because she submits her final article, and it's a letter written by John Doe, and John Doe is saying, I am sick of this world and I'm going to commit suicide on Christmas Eve. I'm going to jump. And so this really brings up some energy and some curiosity. Well, then they start building some about this John Doe character. And then people start challenging them, well, where is John Doe? Who is John Doe? So they have to go out and find a John Doe. Well, they interview all these vagrant, you know, because it was 1941, still coming out of the Depression. So they interview these out-of-work people, and one of them happened to be Gary Cooper, and Gary Cooper was a baseball player. And at the moment he hurt his elbow, and so he couldn't pitch. And so he and Walt Brennan, and I got to tell you, this pair, it's hysterical if you ever watch this movie. There's a lot of comedy in it, actually. But at any rate, they've been, you know, going around on the railroad tracks, you know, just all across the country. Well, they hire Gary Cooper to play John Doe. And eventually they ask him to give a speech. And here's some of what he said in the speech. Let's see if I've got it. Okay. But we've all got to get in there and pitch, he says. We can't win the old ball game unless we have teamwork. Teamwork, getting together, community. And that's where every John Doe comes in. It's up to him to get together with his teammates. And your teammate, my friend, is the guy next door, your neighbor. He's a terribly important guy, that guy next door. You're gonna need him and he's gonna need you. So look him up. If he's sick, call on him. If he's hungry, feed him. If he's out of a job, find him one. To most of you, your neighbor is a stranger, a guy with a barking dog and a high fence around him. That's how we treat our neighbors these days, it's for sure. Now, you can't be a stranger to any guy that's on your own team, so tear down the fence that separates you. Tear down the fence and you'll tear down a lot of hates and prejudices. Tear down all the fences in the country and you'll really have teamwork. Now, I gotta admit, Frank Capra, he just believed in the American myth, the American values, and this was, you know, he did Mr. Deeds. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and he did Mr. Deeds. I can't remember the title of that one, but he was big on that. And so there's a little bit of politics underneath here, but what I want to show you, okay, now let's hope this queued up just right.
Well, anyway, the next morning I'm out watering the lawn and I look over and there's Sourpuss on the other side of the hedge straightening out a dent in his fender. And my wife yells to me out the window. She says, go on,
Okay,
speak
it's
to
not
him.
showing the video.
And I figured, well, heck, I can't lose anything, so I yelled over to him, good morning, Mr. Smithers. He went right on pounding his fender. Was I burned? So I turned around to give my wife a dirty look, and she said, louder, louder, he didn't hear you. So in a voice you could have heard in the next county, I yelled, good morning, Mr. Smithers. Well, sir, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Old Sourpuss turned around surprised-like, and he put on a big smile, came over and took my hand like an old lodge brother, and he said, good morning, Hanson. I've been wanting to talk to you for years, only I thought you didn't like me. And then he started chatting away like a happy little kid, and he got so excited his eyes out. Well, Mr. Doe, before we got through, I found out Smithers was swell-egged, only he's pretty deaf, and that accounts for all the noises. And he says it's a shame how little we know about our neighbors. And then he got an idea. And he said, how's about inviting everybody someplace where we can all get together and know each other a little better? Well, I'm feeling so good by this time, I'm right for anything. So Smithers goes around the neighborhood inviting everybody to a meeting at the schoolhouse, and I tell everybody that comes in the store, including Mr. Schwarbecker, my boss. I'm talking too much. Well, I'll be doggone if over 40 people don't show up. Of course, none of us knew what to do, but we sure got a kick out of seeing how glad everybody was just to say hello to one another.
Tell me about making Sourpuss chairman.
Oh yeah, we made Sourpuss chairman and decided to call ourselves the John Doe Club. And say, incidentally, this is my wife. Come here, honey. This is my wife, Mr. Doe.
How do you do, Mr. Doe? Sourpuss is here, too.
Oh, is he? This is Sourpuss, or excuse me, Mr. Smithers, Mr. Doe.
That's all right. If you didn't call me Sourpuss, it wouldn't feel natural.
Well, anyway, I guess nearly everybody in the neighborhood came except the Delaney's. The Delaney's live in a big...
So I didn't really set that up. What happened was he gave the speech, and then he got scared and he ran away. And he was eating in a diner and they recognized him because they wanted to find John Doe. Now, sadly, there's another part to this. There is an evil man in here, D.B. Norton, and he wants to use John Doe, and he funds all these John Doe clubs all over the country. And there was a rule in the John Doe clubs, they wouldn't allow politicians in. And this really frustrated the heck out of politicians. But really what Norton was using them as is a way to set up a base for maybe his own run for president or some sort of governor office. So, but I just want you to know, goodness did prevail. You know, they went through a lot. It's really a fabulous movie. But the reason I showed it is because, you know, this story that he was a soda jerk. Do you know what that is anymore? He used to make ice cream sundaes and everything at a drugstore. We don't do that anymore. But this soda jerk and his family, they organized this John Doe Club, and like they were starting to tell a story about a couple that lived in a real big rich house, but it turns out that they were on hard times and nobody knew it, and they were selling their furniture, nobody knew it. They were struggling to even have food. The point is, if we don't get to know each other, right, we really don't know our own stories. And we start making up stories like Sourpuss. Oh, he's just a mean old man. He was hard of hearing, very hard of hearing. And we never know. And actually, I won't go into detail, but that's happened to me at least twice last week. And I really stepped back and listened, and I went, oh, that's what they're going through. It's amazing if you give the time to listen and connect. And in a way, that's what we hope the spirit groups can do, is give people that chance to connect and know each other in another way. So I'm sorry that I couldn't play the full slide for you, but I do want to say this about Frank Capra. When he accepted an award, he was reflecting on his career, and he said, and yet mankind needed dramatizations, or his movies, dramatizations of the truth that man is essentially good. It's a living atom of divinity. That compassion for others, friend or foe, is the noblest of all virtues. Films must be made to say these things, to counteract the violence and the meanness, to buy time, to demobilize the hatreds.
Yes.
And so his films are worth taking a look at.
Amen.
And you know, by the way, he did It's a Wonderful Life. And that was what he did post World War II. So quite a career. So now let's check in. Where are we? All right. We talked about connecting to the earth, to ourselves, to the community. Let's connect to our teachers. Sometimes we don't think about that. But I've had a million good teachers. Chris and I do this every July. I don't think we did it this July. I can't remember.
Did something.
But Guru Purnima is a Hindu celebration. Let me get the exact so I can say it to you exactly. So Guru Purnima is a holiday dedicated to paying respect and expressing gratitude to one's spiritual and academic teachers. And it's primarily celebrated by the Hindus and the Buddhists. And what we do is we get carnations and roses, and we go to the Two Rivers Bridge down at the Arkansas. Well, it's not really the Arkansas River, but we throw flowers in. And every time we throw a flower in, we remember a teacher.
Oh, wow.
And we honor our teachers. And we at least 24, right? Or more. So, like, I just want to say here now that I'm so grateful that Beverly and Russ have become a big part of our community. They've offered a lot to us in teaching. We know we have Reverend Colleen. But you know, each and every one of you is a teacher to me, really and truly. If I look around this room, and I don't know some of you yet, but I have learned so much from each one of you. Now, I thought what we would do here, we can't go down to the Arkansas River and throw in the carnations right now, but popcorn style, name a teacher. Name a teacher that you'd like to honor. I mean, I've even honored, my father, you know. Do you have a teacher?
Jeannie. Jeannie McGee, the master teacher of music in Little Rock.
Thank you.
Gillette Freeman. James Gillette Freeman.
Oh, yes. And you had the privilege of meeting
I have
him.
met him
Yeah.
Lorraine.
several times.
Yes, in our art classes.
prayer, the master teacher.
Uh-huh.
It's all, I don't think even the bookstore at Unity Village
Probably
still
not.
has it, but it's been in my possession since 1988. It's right beside my bed.
You go back
If
to
I'm even feeling sad, distressed,
Uh-huh.
just pick it up and put it on my chest and go to sleep.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great book, it's a great little book.
Well, I'm gonna go back at you, Travis and I and the NBC, man, and we learned so much from each other.
I think the teacher I remember the most in honor is my first grade teacher where I learned to read.
Okay.
Wow, yeah.
Because that opened up a world that I didn't know existed growing up in the middle of nowhere in a little farm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, every one of us probably has one of those teachers that we can actually still picture in our minds. The kindness and the attention that they gave us. That's probably true. So, Chris, you have a teacher?
Oh, where's?
Many. 'Cause I've been with you at the river.
Robert Carlson, Jesus.
Oh, of course, our way shower, yeah.
Louise Hay.
Yeah.
Hayes, yes, yes. Deepak Chopra,
Yeah.
Wayne Dyer.
Oh, we could just be here all day. And I'll tell you what, I will remind you all, it's July 3rd this year. And of course, that's close to the 4th, we know that, but I bet you Chris and I'll be doing that. It's a fun,
It's actually the first full moon in July,
Oh, okay.
so it's not a particular date. It's the first full moon.
so that's just a wonderful connection to remember our teachers. So, makes me feel connected to the wisdom that I've gained and the wisdom, and the best thing that a teacher can do is the student surpasses the teacher. So see, that's the best thing that we can do is we've gained that wisdom. What are we gonna do, But we feel that connection. We feel the connection. Well, that brings me now to connect to all that is. So when you build from the earth, connect to yourself, connect to your community, your teachers. You're building it up. You can't help but connect to all it is if that's where you start. And so we just naturally slip into that oneness. So I want to close with a reading from Celebrate Yourself by Eric Butterworth, who is another one of our really good teachers. Oh, I left this, I'm sorry, I left this out because it wasn't here. I did say in my movement, connect to Unity Worldwide, to our Unity movement. And there are so many ways to connect. We have C classes, and I know that I go to Unity churches when I'm traveling, and I often go down to Dallas. And I'm sure some of you all have been to other Unity churches. It is wonderful to get out and experience Unity, in another setting. Betty has gone up to Unity Village many times. We've gone on a cruise. I have gone out to North Carolina to Canuga, and you don't have to do that, but it really does give you a broader appreciation and makes you know you're connected to something bigger than just our beautiful little ULR. And of course, there's a prayer ministry. There's so much about prayer on the unity.org website. And daily, if you go on I think on Facebook, you can daily get into their Silent Unity prayer service.
It's on 11 o'clock.
It's online, yeah.
It's always at 11 o'clock.
And of course, one of their missions is the publications. We've got Unity Magazine, of course, the Daily Word. And millions of people, not even in Unity, read the Daily Word. So you see, we've got this huge network even in our own Unity. Okay, so now that brings me to, let me see if I can get some of this off here. So let's look at what old Eric Butterworth had to say. Within every person, and forgive me, I know this is a lot on the screen, but I'll read it. Within every person is the unborn possibility of limitless growth. And ours is the privilege of giving birth to it. Paul had this in mind when he wrote, "The mystery hidden for all ages, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory." It is only through realizing this mystery of God and man that we can understand one like Jesus as a demonstration of that which is fundamental in all of life. Dwell for a while in the idea of the universe as the allness that is, the allness that we call God, realizing that everything within it, from the vast galaxies to the subatomic particles, is created in and of the universe. You may wonder about the vastness of the universe and peer at it through a telescope. However, you are not on the outside looking in, you are in the inside looking out. You are the universe at the point of where you are. That's, okay, come on now. God is a circle, you've heard this. God is a circle whose center is everywhere, whose circumference is nowhere. If the center is everywhere, it is where you are. You are the center of the universe, the center of God. This is not a point to be made egotistically, but transcendentally. There is that of you, which is centered in God, and which is a point of God activity, flowing forth into expression as you, and the circumference is limitless. There is no limit to God or to man in God consciousness. We say, I am an individualized expression of God. I love that. So, join me in meditation.